Never judge a book by its cover. Never judge a book by its cover. Don't believe nothing you hear. Only believe half of what you see. Trust what you feel. Think instinctively. Think outside the mind. Do not think with the mind. You'll do your head in. You'll do your own head in when you think too much with the mind. Think outside the mind instinctively. Think with your feelings. Think with your feelings. Feel instinctively. Instinctively. You have a God-given gift to feel beyond the mind. So far beyond the mind that you can do magnificent things you're not aware of. But the mind traps you. You're trapped inside your mind. And you don't believe in that. Well, this is why you can only use 7 to 15% of your brain. Because you're trapped inside your mind. This is why you have 600 to 6,000 defective genes. This is why you suffer with your body cells going in corruption, collision during the daytime and can only repair a few hours at nighttime. This means the world's deformed. And it's not taken with any realistic behavior. People live in denial about it, worldwide. In a massive global communication breakdown, and people live in their own truth, tell their own truth with their own opinions, and all their books have now been inverted for every single thing to do with mental disorders, stress-related diseases, is now an opinion, but not real, not the truth, worldwide, declared worldwide. Every single thing is engineered to be inverted on reverse psychology engineering. Evolution mutation, artificial intelligence, atheism grammar. Science runs the world. Atheist runs the world. And they do not know what they do when they can only use 15% of their brain, at the most, in the highest IQ people in the world. When a person can master their mind, use 100% with their natural selections and their natural abilities with supernatural power, you have mental telepathy, ESP, remote UN telekinesis, levitation, spoon bending, clock winding, folding space and time with deja vu to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen with a genetic memory and a genetic ancestry tool that's in dormancy. So you have amnesia because it doesn't work in your own biological fields, in your own system. And nobody seems to want to restore it and cross back over, back in their primal state, which is the funniest thing. They do not know what they have to gain here because they're trapped so deep in themselves, they don't even know what they're preventing themselves. They haven't got a clue. They do not know what they do. When the whole world can only use 10% of their brain and the highest IQ people in the world can only use 15%, and only a handful can use 100%, they're the most avoided across the world by everybody else in the world. And they don't even realize what they're doing. They live in denial that deep into themselves, they don't even realize what they're preventing. They don't even know. The whole world is living in a global delusional state and cannot face reality. They were declared species in 2003. That's 22 years ago. The movie documentary The Matrix represents a crossover. Those who can think instinctively will tune out of the program, and no one can. Not in real life. Everyone talks shit all day. Actors all over the world on a screen who lives in a 5 sense world. 5 sense mentality in their consciousness, not in spirituality, in a mentality. And they even nominated worldwide on social media. Everyone lives in consciousness. Consciousness is only a mental event, a mental process, illusion, imagination set up by the Rockefellers in 1640 into the conscious singularity by WF. It's all engineered into consciousness mentality. It's in the mind. The conscious not aware of the outside influence that controls your reality because you can't use your brain. And the top scholars in the world live in complete denial about this. The whole world does. And it's not a joke, it's reality. They cannot use their natural selection in life and their natural order with their own natural secretion and their natural organic motor skills. You have 32 senses. You live in 5 sense mentality and can only use your 6 sense 1 to 5%. Your aura is anti-clockwise in your biology, in your DNA, in your cells. They work in corruption, corrosion, illusion during the daytime, and you die prematurely from stress-related diseases. The world is suffering stress worldwide and lives in denial at the same time, in a delusional state, in a comfort zone. But the whole world is controlled by stress and die prematurely from stress. And their body starts in corruption, corrosion during the daytime because they all live in denial in a delusional state and don't believe in it because they're trapped beyond the point of return of majority, declared worldwide, beyond the point of return. We can no longer change mankind from the way he thinks, and he continues to accelerate 7 times faster. So is mental disorders, gene defects, cancer, blood clots, myocarditis, animals going around in circles over the earth, birds falling out the sky, fish going around in circles in the oceans, magnetofields changing, Hawaiian syndrome's gone up 7 times in 4 years, with peer reports from every hospital in the world that people are losing their magnetic pulse. They were told that in 99, your world is crazy and you're going into 6th mass extinction, stripped from the 6th sense for the 6th time. Then you were called the species in denial by 2003. Now, 98.7% of the population is in voltage unreliability on reverse psychology in their aura, in their cells. Only 1.3% is clockwise, 24 hours a day, and no mental disorders and defects. Only 1.3% has no mental disorders and no gene defects who have crossed over. The natural selection has been taking place worldwide, and people don't understand the natural selection at all because they're not natural. And when you're post-humans, right, going into transhuman states in a zombie apocalypse worldwide with mental disorder and defects going through the roof, confusion, frustration, delusion, and paranoia, and people trapped so deep into their own opinions with their own self-centered behavior and just actors on screens all day, every day. They're actors. They're not human beings. They're soulless species walking around acting like they're human beings and depending on grammar and all the wrong barcode system because they're not in any codependent, intuitive EMP pulse power that's coded in their DNA. We can measure every human being on earth, and we have. We can measure it in DNA. DNA is the book of life. We have nearly every single person's DNA on data, and every test done, right, deliberately since 2000. We know everybody's DNA, no matter what they say. They have given their DNA, and they've been tested worldwide, and they're being watched by NSA on every camera across the world for a reason. Every human being on earth is being watched right now. Every human being on earth is being watched right now by the biggest think tank and top biologists in the world is watching every human being on earth for a reason. Because most are not humans. Okay? We have an outside influence called UAP phenomenon. As Pentagon said, we have an outside influence that controls our reality. As Harari says for the 4th Industrial Revolution, we're going to take out the natural selection of life and replace it with intelligent design with AI, alien intelligence. And when you see things like this, and he says we're going to create our own gods, and we have the divine power, creation, and destruction, and Christ is over. You couldn't get more Antichrist from the Industrial Revolution, the 4th Industrial Revolution architect. Obama calls him the great prophet who's born in Israel. We warned about him in the Bible. A prophet born in Israel that was set up the stage for the Antichrist. So you can't get more powerful prediction than this and more powerful reality right in front of your face. Harari The fourth industrial revolution architect is called the Great Prophet by Obama and many other people in the elite. We warn about this prophet born in Israel, who says, Christ is over, God is over, we're putting our own clouds into the conscious singularity. So they're stealing everyone's contents from their mind, right? That's what they're doing, stealing everybody's contents. Because every Westerners are content thieves. Can't you see their platforms? Look at every truth fighter, right, on screens. They steal everybody's content thieves to make a name for themselves. They're all the same. On social media platform, you see the most self-centered, egotistical people with their opinions. That distracts everybody from the rebirth and the crossover the most. Because they don't care about nothing, only themselves. And people are so stupid they mentally resonate with people of the same species. Because they've got no codependent power and no real relationship in real life. They sit on a screen all day, 8 hours a day on average, and 98%. Same as the species you see walk outside. They're not humans. We know 98.7%, right, are all delusional parasites and riddled with parasites worldwide. Delusional parasitosis called molegolems. We knew that in 1994. They were declared to be a species in 2003, and that's when they declared delusional parasitosis. Okay, now there's warnings worldwide on Google and everywhere around the world. Over 90% of people has parasites, riddled with parasites, which is known as a hostile entity. Molegolems, they're an invisible enemy. They come from UAPs, they're demonic spirits that we give consent to that comes under our skin and becomes delusional parasites. Have you seen the long worms pull out of people lately? Okay, that's molegolems that comes under your skin with a rash and it goes into your bloodstreams, right? And they become part of your system. That's why we can't see them in X-rays. Right? So when you see the long worms pull out, right, that's all part of your arteries. They become part of you. And we can't pick them up in any X-ray. The whole world's riddled with parasites. And they live in denial about it. Well, they haven't treated for parasites for the last 60 years neither. And mental disorders and defects went from 2% in 1960 to 98% today, and everyone's in denial about it. As exposed worldwide, 77% of American children are born today, right, with chronic diseases. 77% because their parents live in the most denial in America and take the most drugs and talk too much shit all day. And everybody militarized with Americans. Self-proclaimed nutcases all over the world that never had any divine intervention or any UAP moments or any supernatural power whatsoever to speak of. They've got no principality in the power in there with divine power to command nature at all. Nobody does. They're all lies across the whole world. They're all lies across the world. Look at my history and my video. Look at this, right? Let me explain something to you. This book here, The Testimony of a Dragon Would Be Born, the Book of Kim, it's the most powerful truth in the whole world because I predict the future, and that's become solid evidence. So, I don't just speak shit. I'm not just an actor. My book has become the most powerful evidence on earth. I predict the future. And now it's become solid evidence. Right? I left my mark on earth with 50 meters of documents you can read about me. I was the most wanted in the underground world, number one in the Star Gemini, number one in the Gatekeeper Board, with godlike power, with supernatural power, with the most powerful miracles listed in hospital and bringing someone back to life, most powerful DNA on earth, the most authentic DNA in the biggest mental health research and DNA studies, and the most powerful mastermind in the world by the biggest think tank in the world. That's me, number one, primordial being number one worldwide. Chosen for this very moment with the most powerful confirmation on earth. And 5 biblical prophecies land on my date of birth with declarations worldwide. On the 27th September 1960, I was born. And you're warned about me, I'll be born before post-human millennium stage. That's me. On every DNA study done. On the 27th September 1999, you declared post-human stage and that your parents are crazy and you're going to 6 mass extinction strip in the 6th sense for the 6th time. You're warned about the Bible. You avoid the Bible. You don't believe the Bible or the evidence in DNA because you're mentally insane, in denial. Because you're mentally insane, in denial. You don't believe the Bible or the evidence because you're mentally insane. You're in denial. 2019, on the 27th September, the world's biggest army shut down 350 million people, shut down 4,500 locations worldwide. Capital cities worldwide in 150 countries. We were the Extinction Rebellion the army warned about in the Bible. I will come with more than 250 million people and shut your fucking world down. And I did that day. Go Google. The 20th to the 27th September, we set it up. The Extinction Rebellion went worldwide to shut your filthy system down. And you turned a blind eye because you were not the Extinction Rebellion that tried to stop the sixth mass extinction, stripping the sixth sense for the sixth time, with the devil taking over the planet. Book Revelation 27. You did not support it. You're the credit thieves and the liars that think you're the truth. You're the biggest liars in the world. Everyone on social media platform is a credit thief and a liar. 27 July 22. They're wedding the bride and the two witnesses worldwide. Mainstream media. Go look at the video. Go look at the video on this link. You don't believe in it? Because you're an idiot. New York Climate Clock 2-minute video on YouTube. 7-year countdown 220 to 227. The clock is displayed to the 27th September. My birthday again. Everything's my birthday. Exactly 2,000 years from when Christ was baptized by John. 27 September 27. 22,000 years is the inflection point of no return. You don't cross over back in your sixth sense by then, in spirituality, back in your primal state, you're done. You're going to sixth mass extinction, stripping the sixth sense for the sixth time, and it's not negotiable. Right? It's God's plan to wipe out every single false human being on earth, every actor in this world, every self-proclaimed nutcase, every propaganda artist, every person that does not cross over back in his primal state in the image he's created into, to do what Christ can and more, with genetic memory and genetic process. If you don't cross over through the rebirth and resurrect back in your primal state, you will not be saved. You're going to extinction, no matter what you think. No matter where your head's at. They're going underground military bunkers worldwide. The military, the elite, Trump and Biden. Military nuclear bunkers worldwide by 227. The Schoen shut down by 227. They saw it in the looking glass. They saw it in the looking glass. Kim Clement predicted in 2013, and he had a massive divine intervention and couldn't compose himself. Go look at the video, 2013 on YouTube. Kim Clement predicted 227. The Vatican says it's 227. They know the date. We know the date. We know the exact moment. It's on the New York Climate Clock. The most powerful elect person in the world is Jeremy Griffiths, who wrote the book Freedom, the cure of the human condition that's going to save humanity. We can all do what Christ can and more in DNA. DNA studies, solid evidence. We have to cross over, go through the rebirth. Christ was right, the world is wrong. That's biological DNA evidence. And 16,000 top scholars in the world and Nobel Prize winners, right, hail this to be the holy grail of life. The book Freedom by Jeremy Griffiths, the cure of the human conditioning that you all suffer from so much, which is demons in the mind. We have the cure for this. How to cross over like Christ did and never suffer the consequence ever again. No more death experience. Live to be 1,000 years old to create heaven and earth in a new timeline. A new timeline. The new timeline is the timeline of sevenfold wisdom and knowledge in the oldest Bible in the world and the book of Enoch. It starts in 220. That's when it begins, the first 7 years, the crossover. And the last 7 years of the timeline of deception for 700 years is finished between 220 and 227. That's a 7-year crossover in the Bible. Jacob's trouble. Daniel 9:27, the middle of 7. Jacob's trouble. Jacob's Neuralink, the tree of life inside you. It doesn't work in 98.7%. Your Neuralink is not attached to your sixth sense with your third eye, with the sacred secretion, because you can't create the sacred secretion, so it's not attached. Therefore, you have an outside influence on your reality that controls your reality in negative fields. That's why you live in your mind 95 to 99% of the time in a massive global delusional state, and you can't think instinctively outside the mind. In your biofields, to think outside the mind with the sixth sense, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way to 32. Dimensional thinking, remote viewing, deja vu, to predict the future, prevent what's going to happen. You can't use those things because you gave up and you sold out and you gave consent in your mind with the voice of mind that tells you to do that. That sounds heavenly. Christ consciousness doesn't exist. It's only a mental event, a mental process, an illusion of imagination. You live in your mind, in your own truth, and come to your own conclusion with reasoning. And that's nefarious, because it's only 5 senses and mentality. And that's your consciousness, mentality, not spirituality. What do they say in the major stock community? Those that think instinctively tune their program. Not those that think with their conscious mind, or thinks critically in their mind, with their IQ and their grammar, but to think outside the mind, like you see in the movie Limiters. A drug will prove to you that you can't think. A drug proves to you you cannot think naturally and organically with the natural abilities. A drug in that movie proves you cannot think. The testimony of drug Reborn that developed bred manna that Christ and Moses used and proved in Australia across every testing centre that you're under mind control. Because we brought people back in their primal state with the drug from a plane called Mayhem and proved it, that the whole world's under mind control with a drug. On every testing centre across Australia that brought down the highest death time, health care, and violence and domestic violence in 30 years. That caused the Royal Commission paying out for 23 years and the Stoltenberg generation being paid out today. And the biggest mental health research ever discovered with DNA, the Book of Life. From the Gatekeeper Report, from the Mastermind Reports, from the Star Chamber Inquiry, number one primordial being in the biggest confirmation on earth with DNA. I bring your DNA to cure the human conditioning. It's me that cures the human conditioning. And I've done it on the streets with the drug. Way before anybody listened to me. I had to be an outlaw. The government wouldn't listen to me. Nobody would listen to me because they're all artificial human beings. So I had to do it myself. I had to show that, right? I put the whole, every single network together in Australia and stop violence and gang killing to the lowest ever. Put every network together in the underground world to develop this drug. And it went on every testing centre across Australia. In the biggest reports in the world. That's the most powerful evidence that you're under mind control. That the whole world is. When you create the correct drug from manna with the right barcode system, methamphetamine and ADHD medication is also in drug delivery system and food preservatives and has a barcode left and right, up and down that control you. With the same particle and everything. Electronic magnetic device is graphene oxide from iodine crystal. And it's in food preservatives, all your drug delivery systems, ADHD medication, methamphetamine taken worldwide, fentanyl, the whole lot. And you take that much of it, you have no idea. It's in 67% of your food. An electronic magnetic device with an outside influence that controls your reality in your mentality. The voices in your mind are ultimately designed from extinction, from a 5 sense world, from a 5D world, that's only a personality. They've been using it for 100 years. Didn't start now, started 100 years ago. They had small CERN machines and started with radio waves, then a radar system. They could make 16% of people killed in 1920. They can make 100% of you killed today. They can make 100% of people take the vaccination when it's mandated. They can make 100% of people do whatever they want. They just have different thresholds and different breaking points, but they're all controlled by greed, power, temptation, money and material things, modern technology, modern gadgets with images, with radio waves. They're all controlled by it. The whole lot. Every single thing they're warned about, they've been molded right into in the Bible. Every single thing they're warned about in the Bible is what they live by and depend on every day of their life. They gave that much consent now that most are beyond the point of return. They'll never go back in the primal state. They're engineered on reversible engineering, right, into their mind. That's why mental disorders and defects are going through the roof, and that's why body cells are going corruption, and that's why everything's accelerating with the placebo effect anti-clockwise. And let me tell you, it's the placebo effect that's most critical to you. Listen to what I'm saying to you. It's your placebo effect. It's what you believe in that controls you. It's every single thing in your mind that you believe in and accuse everybody else of that controls you. You're controlled by these mechanisms into a human conditioning with more than 300,000 inflection points. And do you know what that means in your biological system? No, you don't. You haven't got a fucking clue because you only use that much of your brain. You can't think outside your fucking mind. So you can't work it out. No one can. Nobody can work it out with a mind. No fucking human being on earth can work this out with any mind, any grammar, any evolution mutation, any artificial intelligence, because it's outside the mind. It's not inside the mind. To manage your own system and use 100% of your brain, right, and 100% of your abilities, it's not what you think, because your mind doesn't know and cannot do anything about this. Your mind plays tricks and games on you, and you become your own worst enemy. And you are your own prison, your own warden in your mind. To break you free from your personality and your mentality, you have to do a 40-day fast. It's the only way, or it's going to take you decades. It took Moses 45 years. It took Elijah 40 years. It took every apostle 40 years, man. Christ was the only one that learned in 17 years. Okay, and he went through a fast for 40 days with his disciples, the one that he went through, and went through a transformation for 3.5 years. The fastest infliction point known to mankind is a 40-day fast and a 3.5-year transformation in his biological genes to unlock his genetic memory with the Sanskrit tools and use his biofields in his biological system. We now know the truth. We have all the studies done for this. Biologically, we know how. We found the cure for everything, like this, in real life. And I'm number one. And don't be a judgmental fuckhead, for God's sake. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're doing to yourself. You're a jealous, spiteful coward, and that's your problem. That's how dumb you are. All of you. Every single human being on earth is an idiot. Ask yourself why I'm suppressed the most when I'm number one in every study done by the biggest think tank in the world and the biggest biologist in the whole world. Why am I not on mainstream media to teach everyone? Tell me. Do you know how nefarious the world is and how self-centered it is and how trapped they are into themselves without a care factor? They prevent every human being from also crossing over and having these abilities. Every single actor on a screen has no feelings, no love, no faith, no nothing. Couldn't care less, because all they care about is themselves. That's the only thing they care about in real life, in reality. They don't live in reality. They live in their own truth worldwide. Every single human being on earth does. They're all controlled by an outside influence worldwide and don't believe it. Live in denial. Can they do what Christ can? Can they heal people? Can they heal themselves? Can they do what Christ can? Have they got mental telepathy, ESP, remote viewing, telekinesis, levitation, spoon bending, clock winding, folding space and time with deja vu? Does the orb of lights come to them? Does the watchers of watchovers come to them? Have they been naturally selected? Have they gone through a transformation? Have they been recorded with DNA studies to go through that transformation? I have been for 16 years. And I'm not alone. I know that. I know every DNA. I know the top masterminds in the world and the elect that can use 100% of their brain and are the leaders in this world that put their mark on earth. And their evidence and their history perceives them way beyond anyone on a screen. Way beyond. The elect are the most powerful people on earth with the most powerful truth to set you free. The liberation. And you avoid them the most. Everybody does. In the world, every human being on earth does. Jeremy Griffiths with the book Freedom, his videos have got about 15,000 hits, views. Number one prophet in the world with resurrection, we call him John the Baptist, right? The most powerful, right? The most powerful prophet on earth, the most powerful elect, who wrote The Speech in the Nile in 2003, who wrote 6 books, who dedicated his whole life to this, to the cure of the human conditioning, who wrote the book Freedom, held by 16,000 top scholars and Nobel Prize winners in the world, the holy grail of life. You can't get a more powerful declaration. We're not breathing. The holy breath of life is won a Nobel Prize without a credential. You can't get a more powerful declaration. And 99.9% of Westerners avoid this the most because they're inverted that much. When God creates this, he's the one that declared posthumous days of my birthday. 27th September stands for Holy Spirit, Divine Light, and justice. Do you know that? That's why it's a nebulous declaration. Daniel 9:27, the middle of 7. Jacob's trouble. In the middle of 7, you'll see 2 moons, and in the middle of 7, you'll see a supernova, the brightest star in the sky. Last year, in 2:24, in the middle of 7, between 2:20 and 2:27, the New York climate clock that Jeremy Griffiths also put up and didn't even know the dates of all these declarations landing on my date of birth. Had no idea. No idea. Everything lands on my date of birth. Daniel 9:27, September 27 last year, the middle of 7, Jacob's trouble. On the same day, Jacob's star went into supernova. Can't make it up. On the same day, the middle of 7, supernova, middle of 7, Daniel 9:27, the Bible, middle of 7, Jacob's trouble. Jacob's Neuralink, the 7-year crossover, 2:20 to 2:27. The middle of 7, you'll see a supernova. Daniel 9:27, the middle of 7, Jacob's trouble. Jacob's star goes supernova. Jacob's Neuralink, Jacob's star, Jacob's ladder, the Neuralink. The tree of life doesn't work in 98.7% of the population, only 1.3%. And that's represented on 2 moons 4 days later. 4 days later, the 1st of October, 2 moons. A little moon and a big moon represents DNA study done, perfect split. The little moon represents 1.3%. That's clockwise in their DNA. Okay, they can use their genetic process with Jacob's ladder and not in any Jacob's trouble. Jacob's star went in supernova on my birthday with Daniel 9:27, the middle of 7, Jacob's trouble, Jacob's star, supernova. Jacob's Neuralink doesn't work in 98.7% of their aura anti-clockwise in their biology. In DNA, that represents a large moon. So 4 days later, the 2 moons on the 1st of October last year, the middle of 7. You can't make it up. On the 27th September 27, Christ was baptized by John, 2,000 years before, 2,000 years later, 27 September, New York climate clock, right? The end of the 7-year countdown. 2,000 years, the inflection point of no return. You don't cross over by then, you're in trouble. If you're not saved by then and cross over back into Brahman's through the rebirth, you're in big trouble. Believe me, you're in big trouble. You don't listen to me, you're screwed. You are screwed. You think God created all these biblical prophecies to land on my date of birth? 27, the Holy Spirit, divine line, scales for justice, September. I'm born 1960, Meteran, king of all kings. You think that's a coincidence? That I left my mark on earth, and I'm the only one of a kind on every study done, with the most powerful confirmation on earth, with the moons and the stars, you will know who I am. I'll leave my mark on earth. I'll come from the cave of prison with the tooth of masses, with fire coming out my mouth, in raggedy clothes like a thief in the knife, in shining armor. They found me in prison in 2008 with DNA studies done. So that fits every single thing perfectly with the moons and the stars. You'll know him. He'll leave his mark on earth. He'll write the books that are published, right? And you'll know that he'll come with the resurrection of humanity and he'll protect the elect. And the elect is the most powerful confirmation on earth. Mastermind Xing and harness the power. Harness the power. We're not breathing process. 27 world records for supernatural power, superhuman abilities. 27 times more powerful immune system. And there's only 130 of us left. There's only 130 of us left on record that can master our mind and harness the power. And I'm the most powerful, who brought someone back to life with peer reports and CCTV, with the most powerful poem written in 2003, the one and only. Go look at the studies. Go look at the evidence. Go look at all the interviews. Go have a look yourself to satisfy your little reptilian brain, because you have zero faith in me, the most powerful on earth, the one developed as a witness that will come with the resurrection, with the wedding of the bride on mainstream media. Already happened, buddy. And when supernova happened last year, 144,000 orbs of light, stars within the stars, came from heaven to earth. I opened up the portal on that day, and the mannequin said at Christmas, he opened up the portal. What a liar. I opened up the portal on my birthday to show you who I am. And then the orbs of light came all over from heaven to earth and put the world in checkmate. It's all over. The world's biggest arms with Extinction Rebellion with 330 million that shut every capital city down in 150 countries across the world in 2019 while you're asleep and while you're a credit thief. The wedding, the bride, 222. The most powerful declaration on earth that you avoid the most, the 7-year lay. Yet it's right in front of your face with the moons and the stars. And not one prophet, not one pastor, not one preacher, not one Christian is living in any truth, right? They're all delusional. Only the elect will not be deceived. They will be delusional, and only the elect will not be deceived. And the witness will come with the resurrection, the crossover, the rebirth, and protect the elect in DNA. DNA, the key to the book of life. The last book of the Bible written is DNA, with genetic memory and a genetic process with answers to tools. So if you don't cross over back in the primal state, you'll never know. You have amnesia. You're trapped in a reincarnation trap. Christ learned reincarnation life after life. He said at 24 when he woke up from amnesia, I'm son of David, son of Abraham, with his genetic memory and his genetic process, right, with divine power to command nature. And I'm awake. I don't have amnesia. I know who I am. I have the divine power to command nature. The most powerful, with the most powerful miracles, okay, most powerful evidence in human history, in modern history. More evidence than Christ himself. More than 50 meters of documents with miracles. More evidence stacked up with me than Christ himself in real life. In real, genuine, true life. So why does everyone suppress it? Why is everyone aspiring this week out? Why did they say I'm a criminal? Why did they deport me unlawfully? Why is everyone sitting on top of me? Why is everyone suppressing me? Because they're all fucking demonic. And they're all nefarious worldwide without a care factor. But the Bible warned you, the last Christ, the witness will come with the resurrection. You will not know who he is. But if you throw stones at him, you will be devoured. And believe me, I have the most powerful divine power to command nature. I can feel every one of you across the world with divine power, with divine feelings, with a universal compassionate relationship. I can see you with deja vu. I can prevent with remote viewing. I can go right into your barcode system. I have the divine power, right? I have the gnostic web. I can tap into every frequency right into your backyard. I know who you are, and I know who you're not. You do not have the relationship. You have not crossed over. You have not gone back in your primal state, back in your innocent, back in your childhood. Return to your childhood. Follow my footsteps, and you can do what I can and more. That's what Christ told you. And I know exactly what the tools are because I have the genetic memory and the genetic process that you also have. I have the genetic memory and the ancestor tools to teach the resurrection the way Christ did. Exactly the way he did and the way he taught his disciples through a 3.5-year transformation with the correct tools. So I'm the only one on earth anywhere in the world teaching the resurrection, the crossover, the rebirth with the elect, with DNA studies done, the book of life. The only one. You go check it out. I am the only witness in the world with every study and every single biblical prophecy land on my date of birth teaching the resurrection. I'm the only one. Look at my platform. Look at my followers. Look at their testimonies. I'm the only one teaching the genuine resurrection to cross over, right, with a divine intervention, with a massive clarification, with the most powerful love and high you've ever felt in your life. Believe me, do not miss out. Everybody else will, because they do not know what they do, and they don't know what they're missing out on. They're living their own truth in their mind, and they'll never find out. Take the red pill, you can't go back because you wake up from amnesia when you cross over. Plato describes this in 15 books, the greatest philosopher of all time, about going up the ladder, Jacob's ladder, and sticking your head out the cave. The sun is 10 times shinier, and the grass is 10 times greener. When you cross over, it's 10 times more beautiful, 10 times more love, and we create heaven on earth. We adapt into this, into our primordial state, with 10 times more love, 10 times more power, divine power to command nature, and clarification, where everything is so beautiful. Have you heard about people dying crossing over worldwide? Okay, when they get sent back, they always say, it's so beautiful they don't want to come back. The colours are so magnificent and so different and everything's so unbelievable. And they always say about clarification, because they see things so clearly, it's 10 times more beautiful, right, than when you come back to earth. So when they get sent back, they always feel terrible because they don't want to come back. Okay? They have the most powerful divine intervention and the most powerful confirmation when they come back, and they don't want to come back. But they're sent back because they were into themselves and didn't have a relationship. That's what people say worldwide from every generation, right? From every single walk of life. When people die and cross over and come back, it's always the same shit. Always the same story. And some go in the abyss and get pulled out and get another opportunity. You hear the same shit all the time. They go in the abyss and they get a chance and get pulled out of there as well. Either way, they always come back for the same reason. They didn't have a relationship and they're all about themselves, trapped into themselves. Christ says you do not know what you do in here. And believe me, you fucking got no idea until you cross over. You have no idea. None. The mind doesn't know. The mind becomes a problem. 40-day fast will cross you through. You take sick eye magnesium, drink lots of water, isolate off screens, get off radio waves, do win up every single day to recreate the second squeeze with the Holy Breath of Life, and listen to the book Freedom by Jim Riggers on audio. We'll take you through the light of the inner tunnel, and you'll see it yourself, and you'll get a confirmation. As my followers do if you listen to their testimonies. Go listen. We take you to the light of the inner tunnel, and you see it yourself, and you get the confirmation with a divine intervention, and you break down in tears. Because in that 40 days, you revise your perception and go back to your childhood and face all your guilt factors and what controls you. Your own guilt factors, anything you went through, and you eliminate every single thing in your mind with unnatural selection. And you'll cross over into a natural selection. Right? And once you cross over, you can't go back. You'll never go back in your mind again. And you go through a transformation and you never suffer again. No more stress, pain, and fear. No more nothing. Imagine freedom beyond the mind you only ever dreamt about. That's what we're coming into. A new timeline. And it will be like that. I promise you. I know the future. I have deja vu. I've been there. Been in there and sent back for a reason. Because I know. I know the future. And I know very few people go through. And I'm never wrong. This is the evidence, man. Okay? 7 documents by the biggest think tank. I can predict the future with deja vu. They know that. They know that, and I'm not wrong. I wrote my book in 2004, and the authorities stopped it with 66 court orders. Because I didn't want anyone to know. I knew back then what Kim Clement knew in 2013. I saw the future when I was 5 years old and said to my mum, "Mum, what happens?" She said, "What are you talking about, son?" And I told her about the worst moment in her life in 1945, World War II, 15 years before she was born. She couldn't deal with it. But see, I told her about the future as well. And I was never wrong. Everybody lied to me and said it was a freak of nature. I was dreaming and on drugs. I was never, ever wrong. Never been wrong in my life. I was the biggest mastermind of reports on with RSVP, right, when I was 24 years old in 1984. I was on the front page of Current Affairs on 17 times, right, in 1994. As a mastermind loopholes the laws and a mastermind manipulation became the most wanted in the Star Chamber inquiry with godlike power. And it's not a fucking joke. We developed the most powerful truth serum in the world and the most powerful love drug that took down the highest death time in count violence and misviolence, right, in 30 years. And then kids were being taken off your parents for domestic violence and went home to get raped and bashed and becomes prison years later. And that's why they've been paying out in the Royal Commission in Australia for 23 years and still paying out to this day. And also $250 billion to the stolen back generation being paid today by worldbank.org because they steal all your taxpayers' money. And I identified that in 1999 when Delusional and Son got locked up for exposing all the documents that we had. When we exposed it worldwide in 99, you're under mind control. We exposed all the documents in 99, you're under mind control. You were told worldwide your parents are crazy, your world's crazy, it's under mind control in 1999. And you live in denial. Well, now you're all under mind control and live in denial, the whole lot. They got the lot of yous. You can't think outside the mind instinctively with your natural process and your natural organic molecules because you have amnesia, because you live in your mind, program engineered that way on reverse psychology engineering. You can't think clockwise with deja vu and predict the future with remote viewing. So you're not clockwise no matter what you say. You're anti-clockwise because you can't do that. It's in your biological genes. It's your natural process. It's your natural organic motor skills. And they don't fucking work, do they? Your natural organic motor skills don't fucking work, but that's the way you're developing your DNA. It's in there. It's in the data. It's in your senses. It's in your biological genes. So your mind doesn't know and becomes the problem that prevents you. The drug proves it. The fucking drug proves it. You can't conduct. So we conduct you with will not be the program to recreate the second secretion. To conduct with. So you're in ecstasy. High as a kite. Always high. So high you don't know what you're missing out. DMT, opiates, meth, alert, alive, awake and aware, in your primal state, to respond 7 times faster than you can. To respond 7 times faster than you can think. Blindfolded, because you can feel the goddamn truth. Your mind prevents you from feeling it. You can't feel nothing. Your aura's collapsed. The atmosphere's collapsed. And you're spreading that negative field like a virus in yourself. Because you're inverted into yourself. You're trapped in your self-centered behavior, in a personality with mentality. So who controls your vessel when you can't master your own mind and use 100% of your abilities and 100% of your brain? Who controls your vessel if you cannot master your own mind? That's where the truth is you can't deal with, and nobody can. A species in denial, trapped inside their mind and personality, and do not know who they are because they have amnesia. And this is the only way you cross over through a genetic memory and a genetic process. The resurrection, the crossover, the rebirth is going back to your childhood, right, and thinking outside the mind and follow these footsteps, and you'll discover yourself. If you isolate and stick to yourself and mind your own business, get off screens and get away from everybody. Get away from every unnatural selection. 40 days without eating. Listen to Jeremy Griffiths in the book Freedom. Let him take you through this, through the rabbit holes, with your natural selection and natural order. And do win up every day as much as you can. Close your eyes. Create the second secretion. Go into the sixth sense, and I'll take you to the light in the tunnel. Go deep with oxygen, and deeper and deeper and deeper, and you create the euphoria with the highest feelings of ecstasy, MDMA, and meth. Wow. And it'll take you to where you feel it in your body cells. Wow, you feel the love pouring all over you. You feel ecstasy. You feel high as a kite. So let me take you there. And then you'll get a confirmation and a divine intervention, and you'll never, ever, ever fuck yourself in the ass again. You never go back in your mind. You realize your mind's your own personality, and it's only a mentality, and you're possessed by it. You're possessed by the voice of the mind without realizing it. That's what Christ learned in 40 days, that you're possessed in here, in the skull. John talks about in Revelation, hellfire's all there. As Jeremy Griffiths explains, the voice of mind ultimately designed for extinction. As Eckhart told you, says, it's a hostile entity. It'll tell you whatever you want to believe in. The conscious and unaware of the outside influence in our reality. So we cross you over back in your spirituality and real reality with a placebo effect 10 times more powerful than anything you've ever known. 10 times more clarification, 10 times more love, 10 times more everything. Now tell me, who doesn't want some of that? You have to be possessed. You have to be obsessed and possessed and addicted beyond the point of return, trapped in your mind, if you don't want some of that. To do everything Christ can and more, never suffer. Trust me, I know. We teach the resurrection with the elect, with the most powerful results in the world, from the testimonies from our followers. Don't listen to people on social media platform, because there isn't one pastor, preacher, or Christian in the world, or New Age, or anyone on the screen teaching resurrection, because all they care about is themselves and their own opinions, and they're distracting everybody else and preventing them from the rebirth and the crossover. And that's why barely no one will make it. The Bible tells you that. Barely nobody will make it. We're trying to tell you that. Barely no one cares. They only believe in their own truth and their own kind, which are all post-humans who can only use 15% of their brain, and their body cells corrupt during the daytime. And that's every mouthpiece on a screen, except for a handful that I mentioned. They're the only ones that can think outside the mind. The rest are actors and controlled by an outside influence, no matter what comes out of the mouth. They cannot think instinctively outside the mind, and they do not have a genetic process where their body cells are in positive appears 24 hours a day. So they're not authentic. They're not genuine and down to earth and create reputation by word of mouth. They do it with any other tool they can and any other belief system, and they'll argue to death about what they believe in because they're trapped beyond the point of certain majority, especially people on screens. They're the worst. Nobody cares, man. And everybody is going to take everyone else in the abyss because of their mentality. They will not cross over through the rebirth. So if they don't, they'll go into 6 mass extinction, stricken to 6 and 6 times. That's why there's nuclear warnings all over the world. That's why NATO's come out mainstream and said prepare for 3 days like the Bible warns you about. That's why they're going underground military bunkers worldwide by 227. That's why the CERN shuts down. They saw it in the looking glass. Trump and Biden built nuclear bunkers. He did one at White House in 220. Go read it. All the military's going underground, all the elites going underground, and spoke about worldwide, building all their bunkers, their nuclear bunkers, and nuclear warnings all over the world, new warnings in 223 all over the world. And they're telling you, get ready for 3 days, the Bible warns you. What did Christ say? It'd be like the days of Lot and the days of Noah. What did I say to you? Orbs of light, stars within the stars, the watchers that watch over us. 144,000 came from heaven to earth, Jacob's star last year. What did Christ say? It'd be like the days of Lot. What happened the days of Lot with Abraham? Christ said, I'm son of David, son of Abraham. What happened? Orbs of light came down the walk with Enoch and taught all the apostles. Most favourite man of God, wrapped that in the future to be Christ, to be perfect, was Enoch. And every person lies about it because they're lies and filthy lowlifes. Noah and his family were naked drunks of Milestone and Nimrod, and the whole world's a Milestone and Nimrod, who took away your universal language, so you couldn't make it to any more than 120. You can't even make it to 80 today. Right? Took everything off you. Put your nations with confused frustration with religious political cults. They will call them naked drunks. All Westerners are naked drunks because they can't use the pineal gland and can't create the second secretion. They're just all talk, no action. Just all talk, no action. Can't use it at all. Can't use the third eye with the sixth sense because they're naked drunks. Their pineal gland shut down. Naked fucking drunks. The whole bloodline. Western civilization are naked drunks. Self-centered creatures. That's all they are. Right? Living in their mind. All Nimrods, all Pharaohs, all capitalising their own personality and only care about themselves. They all live by the law of Gandhi, me, myself and I, all about me, all about me, all about me. That's the law they live by. I'm telling you, go read the law of Gandhi. That's Westerners for you. That's their whole system that lives by that law. I'm telling you, you think they live by the vineyard rule equally? To love one another and benefit from pleasure in real life equally? Pixars, they do, especially Americans. They're the biggest capitalist pigs in the world. Self-envy, self-pride, self-centered creatures, all into themselves. Nothing but selfish creatures across America. You think they're humble, like a 500-year-old Aboriginal with a double-wide double X chromosome? The most humble species in the world, the most spiritual, and when you stand next to them, you feel their aura and not pouring all over you. They grow 10 times more fruit with 10 times more nutritious value because they bear the right fruit. Westerners, their whole fauna's collapsed between 38 and 90% nutritious value. Their 5-beta bacteria's collapsed between 50 and 100% in their immune system. Their whole system's breaking down. Their whole mentality's breaking down. Everything in their system's breaking down. The whole species are breaking down. With mental disorders, defects and cancer, blood cosmic carditis, confusion, frustration, delusion, paranoia, self-centered creatures, stress, anxiety, on-drug pandemics, and suicide rates worldwide. All controlled by stress and getting younger every day and mutate non-stop, as they said by the FDA, into the 23rd seed. The seed of the dragon. The seed of the dragon is the reptilian mentality they live in. That's who they follow. They follow the Antichrist, anti-clockwise, in their biology, in their DNA. They didn't go clockwise. Only 1.3% did. Followed the right footsteps with their natural selection and natural order. Didn't mold things and normalise what was mold yesterday non-stop and twist the baby tooth to suit myself in some sort of comfort zone, thinking I'm special, like an actor, like a social media idiot, like a social media actor, and the idiots that you follow and you merely resonate on a screen. That's why you got no friends in real life, no real love, no real compassion, no codependent power at all, no soulmates, none. You all live in a delusion on screen and pretend that you're a loving, compassionate person when you can't even keep your own families and friends together anymore, and you got faith in no one? You got trust and faith in nobody. Why would God trust any one of you? Tell me. You have faith in nobody. Look what I did in the underground world, and how many people had faith in me. Look how many people had faith in me worldwide. Look what I did. Everybody had faith in me. Everybody looked up to me. Everybody stood by me and helped me create the situation. Everybody around me looked up to me, helped me create the situation. You think I could have done it myself? No way. No way in the world. Thousands of people took to me and helped me through this. Thousands did. You think I could do it alone? More people had faith in me than anyone you've ever seen in your life. More people looked up to me and faith in me than any human being you've ever seen in your goddamn life. Even 40 cops retired the police force and commend me. Chief Justice Jersey deemed my case the most corrupt case in Australian history. He took my side. So did Tony Abbott, the Prime Minister, when he called for man of urines and proved that 80% is on meth. They took my side at the top level, in the top investigation, in the top branch, because they knew the world was nefarious. And it's more nefarious than you realise. You think I get credit for anything? Every single human being is a liar and a credit thief. No one has any faith. I, dead set, created the most powerful confirmation with border security in 6 announcements. Most powerful events ever recorded that God does exist with me. 3 letters written that I'm going to follow space and time in his announcements in the most powerful security in the world, and then it happens. 11 months later, with the most powerful confirmation on earth. You think anyone cares? Do you think anybody in the world really gives a fuck? No, they don't. They couldn't give a shit. Yet you're warned about me, I'll be one, and only one. One of a kind. And the only one that comes with the resurrection and who protects the elect. The only one. You all believe in the end times. You all believe in this, that, and what you want to believe in. But no one believes in the witness with the resurrection and the elect. Nobody in the world believes in the resurrection, and the world does not believe in the one and only, that you will not know who he is, but you'll know by the tools and the signs. No one believes that in the Bible. They only believe what they want to believe in. They all say it's the end times, where you are told the witness will come with the resurrection with the most powerful signs and protect the elect and resurrect humanity with DNA, the book of life. And you avoid that the most. While we are succeeding with some people, 99% of you avoid this in Westerners because you're into yourself too much and all your fake prophets, your fake tools, and your propaganda, and all your fucking filthy low-life lies. That's what you love the most, the propaganda, right? The placebo effect you're living in, and all the lies you love the most. That's how fucking dumb you are. Imagine being in my shoes, knowing the real truth, that I'm the only one, son of Christ, son of David, son of Abraham, that comes with the resurrection, the witness, with the wedding and the bride. World stream main media. We're the most powerful confirmation on earth. And then people still throw stones at me because that's how fucking brain dead and how nefarious they really are, thinking they know better. In that mentality, with a voice of mine that tells them to do that, that's ultimately sign of extinction. And they're trapped beyond the point of return. God warned you, only the witness will come with the resurrection and you know by the tools and to protect the elect, and not fucking one of you believes in God at all. And you don't have the relationship. You think he's stupid? Huh? You think your God is a fuckhead and that you're right? Is that what you believe? You think God's a fuckhead and that you're right? Is that what you believe? He knows how disgusting you are. He knows you follow your own gods, and you're welcome to believe what you want, but you don't believe in God and you do not have a relationship. Listen, in the last 12 months, pastors and preachers have died and sent back 70 years old. I put up 5 videos on my timelines. Our pastors and preachers have been working for the church for 20, 30, 40 years, died and got sent back. You know what they all said? They were sent back because they were all about themselves and didn't have a relationship, and they were in shock. After working for the church with the Bible for 20, 30, 40 years, they were in shock. What did they all say when they were sent up there and sent back? They all said 98% is going in the abyss. 98% is going into the abyss. I'm telling you now with biological evidence, it's 98.7% right now in the time that you're in DNA studies done. 98.7% will go into the abyss if they don't cross over. And these are facts that people can't face.